Hello, and welcome to the Cycle Starters podcast. This podcast is made just for you if you are breaking intergenerational patterns and turning ancestral wounds into creative potential, embodied joy, and intergenerational abundance. I'm your host, Heather Rebecca Wilson, and I am passionate about ancestral healing and growth, as well as astrology and pleasure as transformative medicine. And I'm here to help elevate your consciousness and promote joy in your life. I truly believe everyone can become a cycle starter, reshaping their lineage and fostering growth and healing. Join me as I share enlightening insights and feature inspiring guests. We're here to support you in letting go of anything that's holding you back from your fullest expression in healing, growth, and transformation. So if you're ready to be inspired on this journey of transformation and to create a life that aligns with your true self, then you are in the right place. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, as well as follow us on our social media platforms. You can learn more about what I do and how I can support you along your ancestral healing journey on my website, heatherrebeccawilson.com. Please DM me any topics you would like for me to cover. Share your takeaways, or even better, send a screenshot of your review and I will send you a thank you gift. Now, let's get into it.
We're here.
We're doing this.
Yes, all the things of joy and love.
Yes.
Start this cycle.
Yes. So, welcome to this episode of the Cycle Starters podcast. I am so excited today to introduce to you our special guest, Veronica Mercado. Hi, Veronica.
Hello, my beautiful sister. Happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here with you. So before we get into our conversation, I want to read your bio so that people know, a little bit about the energy you're bringing into this space and into this conversation. So Veronica Mercado is an embodiment guide, practitioner of cellular resonance quantum healing, and a holistic wellness entrepreneur. She is the CEO and founder of INBODY, an immersive ecstatic dance experience designed for participants to access their body's wisdom and enhance their fullest expression through movement and sound. She is the co-founder of Waves, a movement empowering and educating local communities around local water issues and the healing properties of water. She is passionate about education, the media, and preserving and restoring our water systems and enhancing our community's health and wellness systems. She earned her master's in social service administration from the University of Chicago.
Hello, sister.
Hello. Well, so again, thank you for being here. And I just want to jump into it. Can you share with our community a little bit, or as much as you want to share, about your ancestry and your ancestors?
Yes, my family. My family's from the Philippines. My mother is from Masbate, Lourdes Regular Mercado. And my father, Victor Daza Mercado, is from Kawit, Cavite. So both regions are around the Visayan regions in the Philippines.
Awesome. We have that ancestry in common. My ancestors are from Leyte, Samar, and Panay. So we have that Visayan blood in common. All right. Well, so I think we should start with how we met. And we actually met at a Filipinx entrepreneurship networking event. And I don't know what year it was. I don't know if it was like 2018,
something
2017.
around there.
I can't remember. But we collaborated on a very exciting project. You invited me to contribute. And so that was Mayari. So can you tell us a little bit about that whole project?
It ties in so much with also how we started with the entrepreneurship. I feel like we were exploring different spaces that support women business biz, especially those of Filipino ancestry. And that was 2018. And when I started Mayari, Mayari is the goddess of revolution, the goddess of the moon, and the goddess of transformation in the myths and folklore of in the Philippines. And in 2020, that fateful year where the shit hit the fan, and felt there was just so much uncertainty, that I was inspired to bring into the space and the energy of Mayari and the energy of transformation. So I called in all the beautiful souls and spirits that I felt were emulating her energy and doing this work, in not being taken by the circumstances and the anxiety that we were seeing around, but were really holding themselves to a level of just remembering who they are, not being taken by the chaos that was going on. And I was inspired to bring those of Filipino descent into this space. There was something around sisterhood and having a shared experience, collective ancestral experience, that I felt was really powerful in the times where the world said, no, you can't connect, and you had to be isolated and stay in homes. And I felt like we can definitely still stay connected, and we can definitely learn and grow and heal and expand during this time when a lot of people didn't know what to do, and there was a lot of suffering and chaos happening around us. So in that space and time, we called on the energy of Mayari, and we created space for people to remember their gifts and their talents, and remember the different tools out there to move through certain anxieties, and calling in the practices within our lineage before colonization, before the period where there was a big swipe of, I would say, fragmentation and taking away our natural connection to source. Space was for intended to create that space to come back to their connection to source and their connection to the ability to transform.
It was a beautiful container to be a part of, and thank you so much for inviting me to be a piece of it, to contribute. And I'm curious now, how is Mayari playing a role in your life currently?
Such a good question, because we haven't maintained the container and this thread of calling her in. And I know actually she's so much in everything that I do, in terms of my own process of empowerment and seeing my own power, and that I have responsibility and the ability to create my own reality. And in the things that I've created now with INBODY, where I've seen the coming back into the wisdom of the body, coming back into the wisdom of our intuition, coming back to look beyond outside ourselves for anything to save us from ourselves, that we are very much capable of doing this process and our own selves. It's within us. And I feel that I've had a history of leaning toward the relationship, leaning towards a man, leaning towards a particular job that wasn't in alignment. And when we lean on something that is not in full alignment, then we can compromise our values, then we lessen our standards of our worth. And that is contradicting to what I believe that we are here for, and what Mayari stands for is the evolution of our ourselves on a mental level, on a physical level, on a spiritual level. And that's what I've been promoting and activating in the spaces of Embody, which are dance experiences, so people can really feel clear and open to themselves, to getting into the vulnerable parts of themselves, while also connecting authentically with other people. Because we want to do this journey and heal our trauma by ourselves and not show anyone like what our stuff is. But that's also part of the process, is acknowledging and being seen and being witnessed in what people call like the mess, and accepting and receiving love in that, because in our ancestry, it's emotions, they were definitely there, but to be able to talk about it, to have these real conversations out in the open, like it's okay to feel this way, I didn't have that experience. And so creating that safe space for others is one thing as part of Embody, and one thing that I'm seeing Mayari come through within me in the spaces that I create. My work with this technique called cellular resonance quantum healing has been so instrumental in recognizing the God source that is within me, and the God source that is within everyone's being that is here on this planet. And religion has been a strong force and influence to have a generation, a population think outside of themselves, of that source and power. And cellular resonance quantum healing has stripped away like the disillusionment and the doubts and fears of being human. It's a way that clears any interference that keeps us separate from the God source within ourselves.
Goodness. I love what you were saying about, healing in community, right? And how we're not meant to be healing in isolation. We're meant to be witnessed, seen, and heard. I absolutely subscribe to that. We are meant to heal together in community for sure. So I love that you are leading these live ecstatic dance experiences. And speaking of INBODY Eros, that's the title of your workshop that you've recorded inside of the Ancestral Healing Collective, which is my monthly membership for female-bodied cycle breakers who want to alchemize deep ancestral wounds into creative potential, shifts to higher consciousness, and embodied joy with the help of pleasure and astrology as transformative medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody who's interested in experiencing that workshop inside the resource library, what would you tell them in order to prepare them to have the best experience? What can you share about what to expect?
Yeah, I want to also share like how important your phrase is and what you're continuing to say and what you stand for. Embodiment of joy. Like, I just want to give that space right now. Embodiment of joy is such an evolutionary act, to be in joy, to actually be happy, that we're worthy of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of work that we have done to get this to the point of letting go of guilt, of letting go of shame.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process of embodiment joy, there's also the energy of Eros, of deep pleasure. And so that is where the framework also lies, in what inspired me to create a workshop and a container for people to connect deeply into Eros, into pleasure. And along with joy and along with pleasure is also an evolutionary act for people to really be comfortable in their body, for people to really be comfortable just wherever they're at in their life, and to let go of the noise and the chatter of not good enough or self-judgment and self-criticism, is an act of self-love. And so I am so much of a proponent of creating spaces where people can experience them fully and have the deepest love for themselves. And that's what Embodied Eros is intended to create. That's what it does, is creating a space for you to have the deepest love and compassion for yourself. And it requires a level where you get to be uncomfortable with going to certain points of yourself that you haven't gone before. So it is use of the body, of movement, of giving yourself the permission to feel all the things that you have been holding back because you have this job and this responsibility as a mom or a wife, or just all the other things, and just being human and getting your stuff together. That long laundry list. This is a sacred space for you to come back to yourself and your body. And so the first thing that I would suggest and invite is first giving yourself that time. Make this space sacred, because you are sacred and you deserve this space for yourself. That's first and foremost. Then there's the invitation to go past, I call it like the monkey mind, or go past where you're like, okay, I've had enough, and actually dig deep in feeling in your emotions. Because there's only so much that we can do as facilitators and guides, that you are the captain of your ship, you're the captain of your reality. So really bring into your intentions of, why is this important to you? Why do you get to connect deep into your pleasure? Why do you get to connect deep into your body? What is for you on the other side? So I'd really love for you to really think and be intentional with, why do you get to experience self-love? And once you get to that point, then that'll bring you into giving yourself permission to go deeper into the spaces that you haven't done before. So I guide you into a movement meditation and somatic journey. Can be funny, can be weird. Allow yourself to get weird, allow yourself to get playful. And then the other part is, allow yourself to really experience pleasure and listen to your body. Just listen to your body. And even if I suggest one thing in the workshop, in the recording, your body really wants to do something else, go there, listen to that. And so there's a combination of a big movements of a release and dance, like allow yourself to have a tantrum, and also some soft movements and some stillness. And it's just an invitation to really let yourself be present with that and be present with your body. How can you use that space of what comes up for you, of that deep pleasure and eros, into every moment in your life? Into not just waiting to have eros when you're like all dressed and feeling sexy and in this container, but then actually, let's practice that. Even how can you have eros when you are doing these everyday routines? How can you find pleasure and gratitude and satisfaction that you're alive and that you are grateful for this life and grateful to be in your body? And again, just coming back to that joy is such an evolutionary act. And thank you for
Beautiful.
being here doing this. Yeah.
Well, thank you for leading that experience. It was extremely potent, and I really support, applaud, encourage you addressing this concept of embodiment and embracing eros, because I do think humanity is going through a shift in consciousness right now. The planet's going through a shift in consciousness, and part of what you and I are doing in our different ways is helping people to repattern their relationship with pleasure, right? So how would you define eros for people? Right? Because I think the misperception, the misconception is, this is just sexuality, this is just sexual energy. But it's for me, and I think we're on the same wavelength, that it's so much more than that. It's our creative energy. But in
Exactly.
your words, how would you like define Eros for folks who are like new to this or just, like, what is this all about?
Yes, I would say Eros is creative life force energy, and it goes beyond sexuality and moves into your senses and
Mhm.
sensuality. So expanding and cultivating and harnessing this creative life force energy through your senses. I think of Eros, I think I just automatically go like this because it is in the simple of like, of every fiber of every cell of your being, Eros can be expressed if we're really in tuned to it. And when we're really in tune to this sense of pleasure and expression, then there are so many things that we are open to the divine that is our birthright. And I want to put this in just juxtaposition of how we've been taught in the past, and now we are relearning and repatterning of what this sensual, sexual energy is. Even if it is like it's sexual creative life force energy. And though sex has been termed as bad in the past or only for the creation of life, a very sacred act, this energy is also can be used for our own internal, external creations. And this is something that Eros of this deep pleasure and deep satisfaction, that once we get to this deep satisfaction and have this feeling, then anything else that does not meet those standards, that's a no for us in our life. Then we are not accepting that anymore. And I'd want to say, I feel like also a big part of ancestral healing that I'm moving through and processing is also not being everything for everyone, and
Mhm.
in being this subservient caregiver. I could still care, I could still love, but also I am not going to be beholden because someone is promising me this amount of money or this love. If they are not meeting my values and standards, and also if I don't feel alive in this Eros and expansion energy, then they don't need to be in my field. And I think the most powerful thing that we can do, and I would say it's on the lens of ancestral healing, is recognizing our yeses and our nos. Is recognizing our yeses and our nos and honoring our yeses and our nos. And clearing the ways that we people please. Eros is coming back into the self in not an arrogant way, but a prioritization that we're worthy, that what we aspire to live out the divinity that is within us, to express that divinity within us, requires a specific container to be held. And if we are out there giving our energy to everything and everyone, then we don't have that energy to be contained within ourselves. So I know I started with Eros, but now I feel like I'm talking about how we can move and hold that energy within ourselves. That Eros is sacred, and pleasure for ourselves is sacred. And that gets to be the compass of how we make decisions in our lives.
I love that. That's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Pleasure as compass.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
very powerful. Well, so you started to talk a little bit about ancestral healing. And so I want to dive a little bit deeper into this. So, can you share with us what have been the most instrumental moments in your life that have been catalysts for ancestral healing?
Yeah. The biggest thing that I've felt, and it's been around spaces with men. Actually, men have been recently been holding me to a degree is like, you are at the table, or like women, we are looking to you to lead.
Hmm.
That was like, that took me back. I was like, that was something I know and I could say with my girlfriends, of like, come on, like, let's get this, let's like this empowering around women. But for the men that we know that like they are receiving the message too, and that they are looking to us to lead, let's go. Like that's been very instrumental in being like, okay, I have no excuses to hide behind anyone or any excuse. And so I see this part of us and myself as stepping into the leadership positions as that framework of ancestral healing, because I'm just seeing in the past, where have the predominant of the Filipino collective been holding? Like, do we see them in big leadership positions? Do we see them creating? And they are. And I think the more that we stand and showcase it and take it into more of this mainstream, like that is something that I have been more and more moving into. And recognizing the power and my capacity within to create and to make a difference and to influence. Part of, I believe, the ancestral healing is moving from victim of like, okay, realizing, oh, all these parents, siblings, they were mean to me. Like they didn't know how to tend necessarily with the pressures in their life. So then it was like, okay, these are all the reasons why we're in this position, but then transforming that and flipping the switch and moving from making whatever problems that we had into our superpower, into our purpose. And so it's definitely been moving from away from all the excuses, from victim to victor, from victim to victor, from proving that we can be victorious in everything that we do. It just takes this not giving up, really not giving up, and being resilient and being really committed. So another part I feel as part of the instrumental moments of the ancestral healing was also a breaking point in my heart space, is experiencing grief after my father passed away. So when my father passed away, I was studying, I was working as a community organizer in Chicago, and I was organizing different schools in the south side of Chicago in putting in different restorative justice programs. Like these were our focus points. And when my father passed away, I was like, how did that happen? I just didn't understand. Someone who was determined to live till he was like 100 years old, like his father had like really great health, that like we're in this body for all day long, 24 hours of the day, but yet we don't understand how it works. And so I felt a big grief and loss when he transitioned. But at the same time in that journey, it also was a catalyst for me to come into this area of the unknown and to explore what did Filipinos practice in the Bab Islands and the collective practices before colonization. So though the moment like I experienced great grief, this also helped me and tune me into other areas of life that are beyond the physical construction that we're seeing. And it's just recognizing the deep, just different layers of life that exist beyond this realm. Those are two. Those are two big ones.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot there. Well, so okay, I want to switch topics slightly. So, you know, in the Ancestral Healing Collective, we engage with astrology as a framework and a language for empowering ourselves as energetic beings, as vessels of divine energy. And I wanted to see if you felt comfortable sharing your sun, moon, and rising signs with our community.
Of course, I'm open to share. My sun is Sagittarius, so
Mm-hmm.
gotta love that Archer. Uh, my moon is Gemini, and my ascending is Cancer.
Okay, so mutable fire is Sag, that's your sun. Mutable air is Gemini, to your moon, and then your ascendant is cardinal water, Cancer, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm,
cool.
mm-hmm,
So you got, so two of your big three are mutable. So
mm-hmm,
I would say that you are flexible and changeable and adaptable. And,
mm-hmm.
knowing you, that makes a lot of sense. So talk to me about this Gemini moon. Your moon represents your emotions, your ancestral wounds, and most importantly for me, it represents what you're meant to give to yourself in order to feel at home and centered in your own energy. So when I tell people to do their moon, that means like take care of your emotions, take care of your emotional self. And so as a Gemini rising, so your rising sign is your perception of reality, the vehicle for your divine mission in this life. I have some familiarity with Gemini energy. Again, it's mutable air. Air is our thoughts, our consciousness, it's our beliefs, our communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in the head a lot as a Gemini rising.
Mm-hmm.
What can you share with people in terms of the Gemini moon experience? How do you specifically take care of your emotional life and your emotional self?
Oh my God, this is so funny. Movement. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we talked about the different um points of like where there were like pivotal moments where there was healing. I want to share what were the practices that supported me through those like breakdowns was going to an ecstatic dance. Good. And I was like, okay, find one in LA. And it was like my church. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
literally, I was just dancing on my own, like not trying to meet anyone. I was just like, okay, I'm just here. Let me move my body. And it was, there was just so much crying, so much release, so much like we were able to just scream. And it felt so good and guttural and deep and just sweaty. And I just was just a big opening. So being so much of the head, this is where in-body movement has been so vital for me and why I love creating that space for people is it's like, okay, no more talking. We're not going to figure this out by talking about it right
Mm-hmm.
now. This is the time to just move and clear and allow and trust. So the biggest practice that I've used for myself and create for others is that somatic release. And one recently that I've just experienced, and I was like, oh, this is why I experienced it. I love it so much. Is Shibari, a friend,
Mm-hmm.
or new friend, but I went to this event recently, and she was offering Shibari, and I was like, okay, let me try this out. I don't know the exact history of it, but it's of Japanese lineage, and it is a practice of rope tying. And in the rope tying, there was so much of my experience in the rope tying. I was like, oh, like it was. Oh, this is what I wanted. I didn't know I wanted it.
Oh.
And I didn't understand. I know like there's pictures and it's like it looks sensual and sexual. And I was like, and it is that complete surrender. Like I literally needed to be tied up so that my mind can stop. Like it was,
I love it.
I know. Yeah. So it was like this prayer position and this was just going, yeah, she tied me from here and then to my legs. And then it was just me surrendering and it was me surrendering into the feminine. It was like, wow,
Mm.
I can't wiggle my way and try to do like a busy bee that I love to do and try to figure things out and try to support people in this way and try to create for, think of others. Like, that's my automatic. And really just to stop and pause is been so imperative. So I would say the practice of shibari. That's a newfound one, but I feel like I'm gonna go deeper into that. So if anyone, yes, knows that, let's exchange. The water, of course, water. So which fits into the Cancer, but I feel like that also just relaxes and stops the busyness of the mind as well, and really going into just like tending to my emotions, which is also like most of the part, like, girl, just chill, like chill. And so simple things of baths and hot springs and just giving myself that space to turn off that mind has been also intending to the emotions. And water is so clearing, it's cleansing, can set intentions and bring in sound and just bask and literally bathe in like healing frequencies and herbs. So yeah, that's, I would say those things have been supportive of my Gemini mind.
Well, and you're right that the water is very much aligned with your Cancer rising, and water represents our feelings, our emotions, and our sentiments, and all of the water signs are extremely psychic and intuitive. So, yeah, Cancer is very nurturing and is ruled by the moon, and I would say that your work in community is very much aligned with that Cancerian rising sign of yours. So, as somebody who's very intuitive and very psychic, very sensitive, there's a lot incoming, right? Like you're feeling a lot of stuff all the time, I would assume. So, how do you regulate and protect yourself from taking on other people's stuff? Because I know you mentioned one of the cycles that you're breaking, right? You're dissolving is this people pleasing and taking care of everybody else at the expense of yourself. So talk to me a little bit more about that. How are you setting energetic boundaries with people? What can you share about that?
Yeah, I mean, if the more interactions that you have with this person and they're either like depleting your energy, it's like as simple as, oh, I get sad when I talk to this person. Like they don't know it, they're not trying, but like I'm not in this growth mindset. So, and I'm actually judging myself. Like, do I need to be around this person? And so it's literally just, okay, I can take space. Like I can say, we don't need to talk right now. Like very much from a friend, like those things, and also the support of friends to be like, okay, this seems pretty clear of what you need in your life. And I think the biggest thing of being challenged with not creating that boundary for myself before, yeah, maybe there's this possible thing of like of holding on. That's also the Cancer, maybe, of just like and you also get to recognize where like those tendencies, if it serves you or not, like this ride or thrive kind of like loyalty that I have, but also recognizing self and how I feel around particular people, and the particular things that I'm doing first and foremost. So do I feel expansive doing this particular job, working with this particular client? Is this draining? And so it's really just like a constant evaluation, recognizing it can change. So just because you've like also acknowledged it and negotiated this rate, or negotiated like, yes, I'll do this work, and then coming back into like, oh, actually that's not expansive for me. So this is what it would look like if I were to continue in this path with you. So it's really been taking a fine comb into everything that I've been putting my energy on and putting like an inventory on it. And it's been like still a practice of like, I still get to go and have these certain conversations with people.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's so helpful. Just paying attention to how you feel in somebody's presence, right? Like, oh,
Mhm.
I always feel sad when I talk to this person, right? Just like very basic, simple, but not easy to do sometimes. So thank you for sharing that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so gosh, where do I want to go from here? I guess I want to talk about what you are excited about now with everything you've just shared and all the things that
Mm.
you are working on, that you
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
worked on.
Mhm.
What's coming up
Mhm.
that's new
Mhm.
and um a source of turn on for you?
Mhm. What's first source to turn on is I just have to acknowledge there is this. We try to hide it, but there is this ironing board back here in my room. I'm in Austin, um, Texas, in a training, and forgot that little detail. So I just had to point that out, so that you saw it out there and I saw it too. So recognizing that honesty, I'm I am on the move, and that's what's exciting. So I'm in Austin, offering or helping master trainer Doug Lair and Dina Monefiscoli, who we are training practitioners in cellular resonance quantum healing. And so that's what brings me to Austin. And I finished it yesterday, and people there have just experienced, my God, just like so much transformation in the amount of 4 days, from like not believing in themselves to healing from um different like uh just physical surgery, traumas, just things, past lifetimes, this lifetimes. That it's just been really exciting to see the joy and the life and the confidence come back into their lives in this practice. So I'm really excited to not just be part of the movement that trains more practitioners in this technology, but also work with clients in this way, because it's been such a great, simple um, technique that I feel has cleared so much interference of self-actualization in my own life. I'm just so happy to share. And another big main focus is INBODY, and creating more spaces for INBODY to come like across the world. Someone I'm working in the Philippines is like, when is INBODY going to the Philippines? That looks amazing. And I'm like, yes, thank you for planting that seed. So creating spaces of art and expression and just fun for people to feel clarity and safety in their lives, and feel safe to be in their body and to be more embodied. I'm excited to take that on a global scale, as well as um, my work with the water, and curating spaces where we get to meditate and be with the water, and um, curating and being part of offerings that are protecting the water, that I'm just like super excited and stoked by. And I'm
I love that.
happy to share with more details as they come online.
I love that. And your work with water is totally in alignment with that Cancer rising. I mean, look at you. It's so in alignment. That is so awesome. All right. Well, so you know that this is the Cycle
Charging.
Starters podcast. And so I
Yeah.
have to ask about the new cycles that you're starting. So, looking back at your life, what do you think were the most pivotal moments in your life when you realized that you wanted to create new cycles?
Oh Lord. That's such a great question. Geez, you're such a good interviewer. Um, what were the pivotal moments when I felt like we needed to create new cycles? I always was interested and curious about um changing on a like external space first. So like when I studied social work, it was what inspired me was because there was like the fact that we had juvenile detention centers and there were like children that were locked up. And I'm like, that
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense. How on earth would we as a society be putting children away in regardless of whatever they've done? Like the isolating them and putting them in these boxes just did not make sense. So it came from this sense of like injustice of like I'm gonna learn how it got there, and I'm gonna learn how we get out of there. Um, and also I would say in terms of the cycles on an ancestral level of understanding the Philippines in college and understanding more of an academic framework of, or like political historical framework of like America's influence in the Philippines. And I was like, okay, so most of like the gross domestic product of the Philippines are its people. And also like there at the time, there was military bases that were like attacking an indigenous school that was attacking a school, like the Lumads, I believe in like 2016. And so I was like, how did that make sense? That like my American tax dollars are hurting and like assassinating good people that are like preserving um their community and doing good things for their livelihood and working with nature and education. Those are the things that like inspired me to want to understand what was behind, like how do we get there, and then also like what's possible in the ways that we can like promote the work. So that's when I started working with Mamerto Tinduguan, who is a Mumbaki shaman in the Ifugao tradition, and creating a living ancestral school to cultivate the ancestral knowledge and to hold ancestral knowledge. And so those moments, I came at it from like outside big lens macro world of wanting to address. And I would say it starts with me at the same time. Like it always comes back to how am I showing up? And uh, the biggest point was when I felt like I was helping different people like write grants for them and kind of be like their executive assistant in their businesses. Was like, well, but what about me? Like I felt like I was kind of cleaning up the chaos in their mind, and I'm like, why am I helping them when I also have my own vision and creation to do? And so this is where INBODY and even owning, like I'm a CEO of this of a business and founder, even reclaiming that, I feel like has been also a pivotal moment, and prioritizing my vision, prioritizing that, because if I can, supporting other people and theirs is also like easy and like second nature. But the real healing is recognizing actually the hard places that you don't want to go. Recognizing the places that are hard to maneuver. That's where the healing is. You're building a new muscle. You're building new connections in the synapses in your brain of like, okay, I'm on automatic or have been in helping others. And so here's the time to help myself, and then putting myself out there. And standing for my vision, standing for my creations. So it has been very clear and has been coming up again in different ways. And especially in that moment when like someone called it like a disarmoring of my heart in the business sense, when those men were like, we're looking to you. I was like, oh, like instead of like, oh, like it's like, yes, you are. Like that's the shift now, like as you get to be. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important for people to share their ancestral healing journey stories with others, because I do still think that this is largely unfamiliar to most people, and everyone's ancestral healing journey is unique. and
Mm-hmm.
different, and there are lots of ups and downs. So I think it's really cool to hear other people's stories. So thank you for sharing about, the cycles that you're dissolving, but also the new seeds that you're planting in your lineages and in your communities. So it's super impressive. I love you. I'm very proud of you, and I'm so happy to know you and to call you a sister of mine. So, if people want to learn more about you or they want to attend a live INBODY Eros event, where should they go to find out more, to connect with you?
Beautiful. Thank you. I love you so much, sister. And I'm so grateful to be here. And for people to continue to get in touch with what I'm up to, you can follow me on Instagram, Trinity on Earth, and also embody.movement. And you can get up to date and join my mailing list on my website. So I am trinity.co. So those are the top 3 like places that you can find out about me. And I know Heather will get all the other logistical side and put that
Yes.
in and type that in for you all. And I thank you. Like, I want to say and honor grandmothers and my grandparents and my great grandmothers and my great grandfathers for being so resilient, being so loving. Indian family has been just so instrumental, and I feel like that's also part of why people are like, "Oh my God, I love Filipinos," because we are so like loving and
Yes.
joyful, and that is like such a strength, and um, and part of the healing is just recognizing of like, oh, what are the things that perhaps they didn't get to do and didn't get to experience, and they recognizing that they are here, right here, like by my side, like your ancestors are right there by your side, have not left, continuously, like beyond cheering you on, but like giving you the signs to like help you configure your own constellation of people to support you living your like greatest life, to support me living my greatest life. And that is part of our ancestors living their greatest life like through us here and now. And it's just, I'm just honored to also be in the skin that I'm in and carry the bloodline and their experiences, but recognizing that those experiences aren't defining. They're like part of the origin stories or part of that good stuff, to be like, ooh, let's move through that. Let's honor and acknowledge that history. And now let's see what else we can cook up. And given the technology that we have, and given the gifts and talents that we have, and given this body and form that we are blessed with.
Thank you. Thank you for, putting a finer point on that, because again, ancestral healing is largely unfamiliar to most people. And I think those who do know of it maybe um, will find it really intimidating. So I really appreciate
Mm,
this reframe that you're giving, right? This is not about like staying stuck in the wounds that our ancestors have passed down to us. Because when you say yes to walking this path, you have the opportunity to transmute those wounds into healing powers.
yeah,
Right. And so I
yeah.
love this message of looking forward, right? We need to look back to know where we came from,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm,
what are we going to do going forward? How are we
mm-hmm,
going to
mm-hmm,
take
mm-hmm,
this embodied wisdom passed down from our beloved, healed, whole, and abundant ancestors?
mm-hmm,
How can
mm-hmm,
we take that wisdom to create something new and evolutionary and transformative now? So
mm-hmm,
I think that's
mm-hmm.
a really important message. So thank you.
Yeah. And I love how, I mean, you are recognizing that this work can be intimidating for people, and just acknowledging and coming from this space of like curiosity and letting go of the judgment that we may have. There is no right or wrong way to
Right.
um heal and get to know ourselves. And I just feel like everything is, if you come back and look at it as just like a self-discovery process, you're
Mm-hmm.
discovering yourself, and you're discovering like the I would say, used to be dormant skills that are within your cells, and we're just reactivating it and
Mm-hmm.
offering the best environment for your soul's expressions to be lived here and now.
Beautiful, sis. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
I love you. Thank you for saying yes to being in conversation with me on the Cycle Starters podcast. And thank you, of course, for leading that amazing workshop, which is in the Ancestral Healing Collective Resource Library. If you are interested in experiencing that and having the ability of rewatching it over and over again, go to heatherrebeccawilson.com. You can learn all about the membership, all of the perks, and get access to Veronica's workshop recording. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you. This has been amazing. I have so much love for you, and I'm so proud of you.
So grateful for you, sister. We've seen each other through a lot, and thank you for. I receive you being proud of me. I'm so proud of you and your creations, and I'm excited to see what more that you create and build in the world. So thank you so much, sis.
Thank you. Oh, and I forgot to mention that it was a conversation with you that sparked this podcast.
Yes,
Remember? Yeah.
yes,
So you were
yes,
like,
yes.
"Why aren't you doing a podcast? You're doing all these interviews on Instagram Live." So, yes, that conversation was the catalyst for what we're doing today in this moment. So,
Oh,
I just
yes.
wanted to recognize you and acknowledge you for that. So, yeah, it's just really
Mm-hmm.
cool to be in relationships with all these amazing goddesses, all these amazing beings who
Mm-hmm.
you know, push me to go further, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I love that. I love collaborating with you. I love receiving body work from you. You are
Mm-hmm.
amazingly talented at that. But yeah, it's really cool to be in these like co-creative uh relationships. And I find you to be very inspiring. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sis. Yes.
You're
So
welcome.
much love.
Of course. Love you. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. We will see you on the next episode of the Cycle Starters podcast. Take care.